Dear Heavenly Father, please open our eyes and our minds to what you want us to know today. Please guide us in our study as we try to learn the things that you want us to learn. In Jesus' name, amen.
Revelation 10. Verses 1 through 4. You want to read that to her, Marie?
And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head, and his face was as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire. And he had in his hand a little book open, and he set his right foot upon the sea, and his left foot on the earth, and cried with a loud voice, as when a lion roared, and when he cried, 7 thunders uttered their voices. And when the 7 thunders had uttered their voices, I was about to write, and I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Seal up those things which the 7 thunders uttered, and write them not.
Revelation 5. Verses 1 through 7, Sister Brahman.
And I saw in the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within, and on the backside sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, Who is worthy to open the book and to loose the seals thereof? And no man in heaven nor in earth, neither under the earth, was able to open the book, neither to look thereon. And I wept much, because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book, neither to look thereon. And one of the elders saith unto me, Weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book, and to loose the 7 seals thereof. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne and of the 4 beasts, and in the midst of the elders, stood a lamb as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent forth into all the earth. And he came and took the book out of the right hand of him that sat upon the throne.
And Jim, Revelation 22, 10 and 11.
He saith unto me, Seal not the sayings of the prophecy of this book, for the time is at hand. He that is unjust, let him be unjust. And he which is filthy, let him be filthy still. And he that is righteous, let him be righteous still. And he that is holy, let him be holy still.
So what did we just read?
Close of probation.
Now we've read 3 passages though. What did we just read?
Just
Sealed-
read was
sealed
the
book.
close of probation.
Sealed up.
Sealed up.
What sealed up?
7 thunders.
The book.
7 thunders. What? No, you're not wrong. You're just thinking out loud. What did we just read?
Sealed up in the 7 thunders.
The sealing up the 7 thunders. So
The book,
the book.
the book that you talked about yesterday.
What book did I talk
The
about?
second
And the Kings of the
Chronicles.
Chronicles.
Oh, you're guessing now. You don't see the Chronicles in there.
No, you talked about it.
Yeah, I talked about it. That isn't in the context of these 3 passages.
You
Nice
said
try.
you said you were going to talk about it today.
Yeah, but okay. So, what's the relationship between verse 5 of chapter 5 and verse 3 of chapter 10? You guys are missing all kinds of stuff.
Verse 5 of 5.
5 of 5 and 3 of 10.
What book?
Lion of the tribe of
That is
Judah.
going to open it up.
Where do you see a loud cry in verse 5 of chapter 5?
I was looking at Revelation 10, 1 through 4.
The lion.
The lion. So who's the lion?
Christ.
Yeah, but who is he? Everyone knows he's Christ, but what's
The Lion of the tribe of
Of the
Judah.
tribe of Judah.
why is Jesus portrayed as a lion here?
King of the jungle.
King of
Because the sign of Judah is a lion. They each had a banner and a sign on it.
What's he doing in verse 5 of 5 and verse 4 of 10?
opening the book and loosing. He's weeping.
What?
Weeping. Weep not.
He says,
He's not weeping. Who's
he
weeping?
says, weep not.
One of them is opening the book
Uttering-
and one of them is doing it.
Okay, he's opening the book and he's closing the book. So what does that tell you?
He opens and closes.
A new
Who does?
Line of the
dispensation.
tribe of Judah
Line of the
opens
tribe
and
of
closes.
The Lion of the tribe of Judah is the one that opens and seals.
Something's changing.
So who opens the book in Revelation 22:10?
Line of the tribe of Judah.
What's he opening in Revelation 22:10?
Sealed.
The only thing
Revelation.
that's
Seven
sealed.
thunders.
Yes.
It's the seven thunders.
So what are the seven thunders?
Delineation of events that transpire.
Okay, I want you to see one thing. What's a horn in prophecy?
Power.
A tower?
A
A
power.
power?
A city.
Where do you prove that from? The little horn in Daniel? That's a guess, but isn't
The two horn power, like the United States.
The kingdom.
Those
kingdom?
Are, those are powers, the two horns.
what about try Zechariah? Zechariah is the book Zechariah with an E the same as Zacharias, Elizabeth's husband? Pardon me?
I don't know.
One.
You don't think so?
I don't know.
You just gotta look at the.
Where's Elizabeth's husband found? And
It's the
where's
same thing.
Zechariah
What
found?
is
It's
this?
the same thing. They mean the same
They
thing.
mean the same thing.
It's the same thing.
It's like a big left and a limit left. If you're going to allow that, you have to allow that.
Those are your different points. You're making one. they mean the
One's,
same thing,
one's
they're
Hebrew
the
and
same
one's
person.
Greek. One's Hebrew and one's Greek. They're the same person, same name. But in verse, read chapter 1. Whose turn to read? Brother Jim? Chapter 1 of Zechariah. And verse 18 and 19.
Then lifted I up mine eyes, and saw, and behold, 4 horns. And I said unto the angel that talked with me, What be these? And he answered me, These are the horns which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem.
So they have powers.
Powers. Who scattered Israel, Judah, and Jerusalem? King of the North, right? Okay. So, who's the king of the North? You already said it.
Christ.
No, not the real one. The one that scattered Israel, Judah, and Jerusalem. Papacy. What is it? Power. What kind of power?
Evil power.
Evil power. Political power. And when it's scattering, when Assyria and Babylon are scattering, they're a political power, aren't they?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, so if you go back to Revelation 5, verse 6, what do you see from Esther in there, prophetically?
Seven.
The 7 chamberlains and the
Yeah. Seven wise
7
men,
wise men.
Okay, just didn't want to miss that.
7 horns and seven.
So the 7 thunders are sealed up until just before the close of probation. So the 7 thunders are what, Brahman?
Sealed up.
What are they?
They're the delineation of events transpire under the first and second angel's message. And
Okay.
then disclosed in the future.
So I'll write it for you so everyone don't have to be coming up here. And I'm not supposed to go past this?
Right where you are, you're not supposed to be.
Why am I not supposed to come past
Because
this?
then it just shows
Because then I
problems,
can't see you.
I guess.
Why do you have to see me?
I guess we don't have
We're,
to.
we're going to the board, right? We're wanting to see what's on the board, so when I step back, it's
It's
something.
awkward to cut you in half.
So, explain that to me, Brahman.
1798 to 1844.
Really? Are we gonna let her get away with that?
You're writing it.
Yeah, but are we gonna let her get away with it? I have an eraser.
Yeah, also, yeah.
She's,
1840 to 1844. I don't know. 1798 to 1844 is the delineation of the events. That's the seven thunders of the Millerite history. That's the first and second angel's message.
is it?
Yes.
Okay, where's the first and second angel's message?
The first angel's message arrives in 1798. It's
Okay.
empowered on 8/11/40.
Okay. You wanna put that up there too?
I don't want to put anything up there, but that's how I understand it. Right?
So where's the second angel's
The
message?
second angel's message arrives on 4/19.
419.
44.
So can you be vague about this?
No.
October 22nd.
If you're gonna do this, the seven thunders, can you be vague about this? Can you just say 1844?
No, you have to.
October.
October, you guys let her get away with it.
Delineation of events, yeah.
Let's-
And so you're saying the second angel arrived
Yeah.
on 4,
19.
19, 18, 40.
Then you have to mark the exact date on 1798,
Why?
because you said you had to mark it on that one.
What's the
But there's no
exact
other
date?
date in 1798.
It's
And the
The
February
deadly
the
woman,
15th or something like that, but.
is it?
Oh,
So
yeah.
here's you have to make a distinction because they're in the
'Cause there's
same
two
year
events.
when the second angel arrived and the third angel arrived. But here it's just
There's only one.
But in
1798
1840, you
major.
can mark that as a specific date and time.
when the first angel's
When the Ottoman
message is
Empire
empowered.
fell.
But what's that got to do with the definition of the seven thunders?
It's that, that's an event
Events,
right there.
yeah.
It's an event.
Okay, but so you're saying this is one of the events, and we're going to do the events. What are the events?
Well, you were asking what the definition of,
I was just trying to get to the
The
first and
seven
second angel's
thunders are-
messages.
I
I
don't
see.
think we've ever laid out 7 events in Millerite history that we can confirm are the actual 7 events.
We did. We did
Yeah.
the seven
On
kings.
one of your videos.
Seven kings.
Seven kings. Okay, Michael. What do you mean by the seven
The
kings?
seven kings correspond to 7 events, yeah. So Manasseh would be 1798
What's your justification for doing this?
for doing paralleling 7 kings.
Yeah.
Uh,
Why don't you just take seven kings out of the center of all the kings of Judah?
Because Manasseh marks the beginning of the 2520, and the 2520 brings you down to 1844. So this is the Alpha and the Omega. The 7 kings would be showing you a delineation of events in that history, which would be typifying the end, which is the delineation of events in the first and second angel's messages.
So this is 677,
Yep.
and it's Manasseh.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Manasseh, and then King
Ammon.
and
Josiah.
to correspond
what's
to
Ammon?
to correspond to an
Architect.
event is the architect. It's the increase of knowledge that comes. That's why I said 7
the
events, but maybe not so
foundation.
specifically 7 events. It's
Actually, that's the
7
pillars, wasn't it?
characteristics of the Reform line. Because that comes is beginning at 1798.
We've labeled 7 events that we've specifically said.
What about 1816
What?
The time of the end is an event. And
Time
that
of the
marks
end's an
two-
event?
2 kings mark that event,
Yeah.
so 2 of the thunders mark that specific.
Do they?
I think so.
Okay, well, yeah, Book of Daniel's unsealed in 1798, but what's the historical event that marks
Papacy recedes its deadly wound.
the beginning of running to and fro?
Unsealed.
The unsealing.
William Miller receives his concordance.
He purchases
Yeah. Does he use it?
No.
No, but
When does he start using it?
1816.
1816. Is William Miller the one that is going to be the architect of this?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's Joseph used
Yeah.
it like.
Yes,
Christ,
So what's the next king?
Josiah.
And we're going to put 18 here too. That's history started study. Okay, Josiah. What's Josiah?
It means
Foundation.
foundation.
What's the foundation? Where's that at?
The foundation is, I understand it to be the rules that are established. It's the foundation of the chart, which is the foundation.
When are the rules put in place? That's probably a good way to express it.
During that
Yeah, but when
formalization.
are they, okay, the formalization, let's say it that way. When is that?
1833.
1833.
That's when Miller receives
Let's-
his credentials.
Let's put 1831/33. Maybe even 34.
Because that's when he's speaking openly. And, yeah.
First public presentation, 1831.
Yep.
Yeah.
What happens in 1833?
He receives his credentials.
And the stars
Yeah, the
fall.
stars fall.
Yeah.
To confirm it.
But what happens in 1834?
Oh, he receives his universal license or Baptist
And he
license.
first gets credentials in 1833 from the Baptist Church, but in 1834, all the denominations give him the church, the
Yeah.
credentials.
Yeah.
Why is that important?
It's showing world progression.
It's showing what?
I don't know if that
Progression, you
It's
just
showing
guessed it?
progression. Yeah.
Anyone know why that's important?
Worldwide.
Worldwide, I don't know what that means, but sounds okay. What's that? Tell us, explain that to us, brother.
No, I'm trying to
Yes.
read. I'm trying to read what you have there. You got 18.
Ammon,
So-
I'm putting the date
Poster
because
right
they're
here.
events.
Up
right,
on
being
top there,
clear.
1831, 1833, 34, and then there's some markings
Okay,
above it.
this is the stars falling.
In
Okay?
1833.
In 1833. The 1831 is the first public presentation by William Miller. In 1833, he gets his credentials from the Baptist Church. In 1834, he gets credentials from all the churches. And so you have the falling of the stars as a fulfillment of prophecy to mark that. Sister Madison, what's the other fulfillment of prophecy there?
I'm not sure. Feast of Trumpets.
What's the Feast of Trumpets? Okay, good for you. What's the Feast of Trumpets?
It's 10 days before the Day of Atonement.
And when's the Day of Atonement?
It's 1844.
1844.
So it's 10 years.
So 10 years before is 1834. And what is the ritual that the Hebrews do when they're going to blow the trumpets on the Feast of Trumpets 10 days before October 22nd, 1844? What's the typical Hebrew ritual?
Did you get rid of the leaven?
No, for the Feast of Trumpets. They practice the day before, 1833.
Oh, amen.
1834, they sound the trumpets 10 years before. So you're saying these last 7 kings, what's the next one?
The next one is Jehoahaz.
Jehoiahaz. Okay, we'll put him over here closer. Haz. What's he represent?
Well, his name means seized.
Seized.
And so we mark him as a restraint.
A restraint.
Like
So he would mark
1840.
August 11, 1840, when Islam was restrained to the Ottoman Empire.
Is there anything connected with him?
Is there anything connected?
What's connected with Jehoiahaz? When he was seized, what happened?
He goes into
He was
Egypt.
usurped for another king, right? Didn't they?
Not usurped.
Or not usurped. Sorry, they put another king in place of him.
Yeah, he was replaced.
By-
They're connected.
Yeah.
They're connected. These 2 kings are connected by history.
Oh, I
This one's replaced right then and there by who?
Jehoiakim.
Jehoiakim. And what does that mean?
It means they both mark the same
Jehovah
event.
will raise.
Jehovah will raise. Jehovah rises. Does the Lord arise right here on August 11th, 1840?
Yes, it
Yeah.
does. Comes down.
Okay, what's the next king?
Jehoiachin.
How's that an event?
Jehoiachin marks the tearing time. His name means to tarry.
Also to establish.
And also to establish, which is when the temple begins to be reared up on the first day of the first month. It's established.
And it's followed by who?
Zedekiah, which means cleanse.
Okay, so those are the 7 events. But what are they? In the terms of the 7 thunders, what are they? A delineation of events,
that occur in
Transfer
the
from the
first
first and second, yeah.
the first and second. So this is the first, and this is the second, and this is the third. So what are these three messages? Not the two, the three.
Markers.
The everlasting gospel.
Everlasting gospel. What does the Lord do in this history?
Builds it.
What's he do in this history?
He brings it into ancient age.
Yeah, more specific than that. More direct. More than Judah. What gets destroyed in this history?
The temple.
The temple. So the temple is destroyed in this history. Is the temple rebuilt in this history?
Yeah.
So what does Jesus say about this history?
He'll do it in 3 days.
Where does he say that?
It's
Sister Kathy, read John 2:19 and 20.
Jesus answered and said unto them, Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up. Then said the Jews, 46 years was the temple in building, and wilt thou rear it up in 3 days?
So what did Jesus just do there?
He said 46 years. He puts his marker as far as taking 46 years to build the temple.
Yeah, but what yes.
Or 3
3
days.
years.
Or 3 days.
He's doing what?
One.
3 days equals
46 years.
Angels.
46 years. So what are 3 days?
3 angels' messages, or 3 messages.
Yeah, okay, but that's not what we're looking for. What are the 3 days?
The 7 thunders.
the 3 days of fear.
What happens here in our history?
Sunday law.
Sunday law, and what
Cleansing
happens?
of the temple.
Closed door.
Closed door.
All the right answers.
Pardon me? What'd you say?
I said there's just a lot of right answers for all the things that happened in that day.
A lot of right answers. What happens here in the context of, what is it? Hosea? Is it Hosea?
Hosea 6, 1 through 3.
Hosea 6,
The latter rainfall. Or
1 through 3.
Makes sense to
Whose turn to read? Brother Jason?
Hosea what?
6, 1 through 3.
Come and let us return unto the Lord, for he hath torn and he will heal us. He hath smitten and he will bind us up. After 2 days will he revive us, and the 3rd day he will raise us up, and we shall live in his sight. Then shall we know, if we follow on to know the Lord, his going forth is prepared as the morning, and he shall come unto us as the rain, as the latter and former rain unto the earth.
So, what happens here?
Outpouring of the latter rain.
There's a raising up. After 2 days he will raise us up. He will revive us. 3rd day he will raise us up. So, was he raised up on the 3rd day?
Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what is this history?
the history of the cross.
The
History of
history of the
Christ.
cross.
It's
Or
the
not the
pattern
cross,
of
but
Christ.
the raising of
Pattern
Christ.
of Christ.
Pattern of Christ. Okay, where is he raised up? Right here? When was he raised up?
The cross.
First day.
Well, it's
It's
it would
raised
be
up
the
on
first
first day of the week. It's the first fruits.
First day of the week,
16th
first fruits,
day of
16th
first
day
month.
of the first month. When was he put in the grave? Or when was he put on the cross? Let's put it that way.
14.
That would be there, the 14th. And he rested in the grave on the 15th. So what's this?
3 days.
It's 3 days, but what is it? It's Passover. Right? So what's Passover?
7 numbers.
The 7 thunders. Right? Okay. So
Why is it the 7 thunders?
why is it the 7 thunders? Are these, is this 46 years? These 3 days? Or are these 3 days? Why? What justifies saying they're 3 days?
John 2:19.
Your text up there.
Hosea 6,
And Hosea 6.
1 to 3.
6, 1 through 3. So these are 3 days? Are these 3 days? Is he raised up here? What else, in our history, what gets raised up here?
The ensign.
The ensign. When he was raised up, what did he do?
For the disclosure.
If I be lifted up,
I'll draw them in.
I'll draw all men unto myself. When the ensign is lifted up, what do they do?
Draw them into Christ.
So is this 3 days? So is this the 7 thunders?
Yeah.
Do you know how to explain that now?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay,
Is
so
the 15th under Jehoahaz or Jehoiakim?
Yep, they're both just. Do the same thing.
So 15th falls under Haz and Kim.
I didn't put that there on purpose. I just put it up there at random.
So we don't,
The
Where would
15th,
we-
the 15th would have to correspond with
Jehoiachin.
because that's
That's
the
when he
beginning of the
revives
second
them.
angel.
That's where it would end. After 2 days, he will revive us.
Yeah.
Wherever he's resurrected, to be the beginning of this day.
So he
He's
tarries
revived,
I was
and then he's lifted up.
descent, yeah.
So under Jehoiachin.
under Chin, where he tarries in the grave.
I don't know. What are you saying, Michael?
Oh, I was saying that the first day would correspond to the arrival of the first angel, the second day would correspond to the arrival of the second angel, and the third day would correspond to the arrival of the third angel.
Right.
So then that would be, 1798, 419, and 1022.
So you want to put it here?
What? The 15th?
Yeah.
So,
So, is that proportion correct?
It doesn't look it.
Probably is.
I think so.
All he had to do was touch the third day, and then he could be resurrected. All right. So, what also is this? This up here. What are we dealing with? Remember what we all quote. Sister Tara Marie, you know this one? What is the 7 thunders?
Delineation of events.
Inspired under the first and second of his messages. So will be revealed in their order. Or something like that.
And the 7 thunders are?
Events.
Events.
Delineation.
Future events
In order.
that will be disclosed in their order. What are the future events?
Hours.
Hours. What are they, Sister Kathy? You said that with
1989.
great.
9/11.
Where's 9/11? Which one's
After
9/11?
1989 is the next marker would be 9/11.
Really? I thought we had 7 events, and you're going to jump down here to
Put
9/11.
1863 maybe. in-
1863,
No.
in the middle of
Okay.
1989.
Move on to someone else.
Sunday law. So, are those 3 events?
Yes, they are.
What's the other 4 events?
formalization.
A formalization, what would that be?
Increase of knowledge.
That'd be Josiah? So, when was that?
1995.
1996?
So the time
Yeah.
No. What was 96?
Publication of the Time Then magazine. So what are we doing here? Where are we at? Where's the events? What's this event? What event is this?
Where the
Revelation
mighty
18.
rises up.
In the terms of the kings. Sister Brittany, what is it in terms of the kings?
Which kings?
These 7 kings that are describing, according to Michael, this is what lays out the events. 9/11 is which kings?
Chin.
Kim.
Kim.
Hasn't.
Kim
Jehovah
and
hasn't.
Chin.
Kim.
Has,
And Kim.
Kim,
Chin.
And
and Chin.
Sometimes Chin.
And Chin. Why?
Because the first day of the first month is 9/11.
Why is Haz there?
The
Because
restraint of
he's
Islam. Well, he's connected, like you're saying.
connected to Jehoiakim.
Yeah.
He's connected to Jehoiakim, but what's his connection? What's he conveying?
The restraint of Islam.
Restraint of Islam. Why? Because his name means seize.
Oh, yeah.
There is a power that is restrained. So that's 3. Who's this?
But why is
Zedekiah.
Kim there?
Pardon me?
Why is Kim there too? Also?
Why is Kim there
Yeah,
at 9/11?
yeah.
Together.
I don't remember.
The Lord rises.
Oh, okay.
Why is Chin there?
Terry.
The Tarian time. Okay. Who's this?
Zedekiah.
So this is Josiah. Am I right or wrong?
You're right.
Foundation laid. This is Manasseh.
Well, we got 3 more to go.
You got one more to go. You got 1, 2,
Six.
3,
You just
4,
need
5,
Ammon.
6.
You just need Ammon.
You need Ammon. You know he goes here, but what was it?
Oh,
What date was it?
1888.
8. It can't be before.
Oh, when am I
Or
thinking?
I don't know.
It was, when we, what?
It's not 1863 and it's not 1888.
Okay, I
Okay.
just, where am I at here?
Although, in her defense,
Oh.
in the past, you said you weren't hardened on that date,
On what date?
whether it started in 1863 or 1989.
No, we've been hardened on this.
Okay.
But that's a different story. What's 1863?
It's when we became a church, it's when we,
It's Manasseh.
It does mark Manasseh in another sense.
Yeah,
It's 2 different senses.
for the movement, for the Adventist movement, and then it becomes into a church.
Isn't that when the military?
It's 91.
Civil War.
91.
Civil War, yeah.
1991. What's 1991?
Something with Islam. So
Birth.
Okay, so let's move on. What's the connection between this and this? Between this one and this one?
One's the
That's-
bringing down of the temple and one's the rebuilding of the temple. No?
2520, right? 677, 1843.
I have a question. When for the foundation for 1989 would be when you started it to dissect the book of Daniel 11 to 40, and when you started putting out every month an article about it, and then finally you gathered together into one book in 1996. Will you be able to put that, when you began that as the
That's
architect?
1996, right there.
That's when you actually published it.
That's the
whole thing
foundation.
Together.
We're not looking for the foundation.
You're looking for the architect.
Yep, somewhere in there.
She's telling you.
So that's what I'm trying to say, is when you were dissecting the book of Daniel 11, 40, 45, and you were putting out each month a newsletter about that study,
Weren't doing it then.
you weren't doing that?
No, Time of Day magazine was published in 1996 at Hope International. We started that year in a ministry. Maybe not that year, maybe the next year. That year.
But I thought that prior to that, you were doing
It was
this study.
articles that you'd put in the whole, the.
Yeah, those articles went into
foundation.
Firm Foundation magazine over a year.
Interesting that the name from foundation, right? Foundation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really.
See, they started in 1995 in the foundation, but they get turned into a book in 1996.
That's what she was trying to say.
So when were you doing the study,
95.
95?
Uh-huh.
So when you...
Publicly.
Can't you put that as Ammon in 1995?
Or prior. She's saying, when did you actually, when was the
Architect.
footwork actually done? Like Miller studied from
95.
1816
The
to,
footwork began in 1989.
for Daniel 11.
No. What was the first thing that
That
they
guy.
we began to study in 1989?
The
The
lines.
lines.
The lines.
Oh,
Line upon line.
So when did Daniel 11 start?
1991, 1992.
That's what she's saying. That she's saying that would parallel 1816 to 1818.
that they're studying.
Running to and fro, the increase of knowledge.
1991.
I'm
Okay.
partial to 1991.
What was 91, what are you marking that as?
When we're starting to study these things, pull them together. But that's kind of vague to me. So, what is this? Well, the connection to these two is the 2520. What's the connection with this and this?
First and the last.
Really?
No, sorry, that's not the right answer.
Well, one is the scattering, and one's the beginning of the gathering.
The two
Temples.
This one and this one. This is the time of Christ, right? Do we actually think this is the seven thunders? That this is a revelation of the seven thunders?
Has to be.
Has to be.
Yep.
So this is Millerite history. So what's the relation between these two?
The 3 days.
The 46 years.
Yeah.
The run
Right,
in which
right.
the beginning of ancient Israel and
You put the temple
No.
destroyed too there
I'm just kidding.
for the
You're just kidding, huh? That is your answer. What did you say?
The line of Manasseh is the temple just being destroyed. The end of the ancient Israel.
So this is connected to this. This is the literal temple being destroyed, and this is Christ's temple being destroyed. Is that what you're saying? Okay, move on. What's the next one? The one we're getting to.
The Persian king,
The Persian kings. And what are they?
the 7 thunders.
But what are they?
Cyrus, Cambyses, Hosmer,
When the angel comes down here, who does Sister White say he is?
No, that's a
No,
person,
that's
that's Jesus Christ.
And this angel here is identical to what angel?
9/11. Revelation 18.
That angel is
419.
identical to the angel
Or-
of Revelation 14.
In this line,
It's identical to 1798.
1798. This is the empowerment of the first angel. This is the arrival of the first angel. They're the same angel. So if this angel is Christ, who's this angel? So what happens in 1798?
Unsealing.
The book Daniel's unsealed. Who does that?
The
Lion of the
Lion
Lion
of
of
the
the-
tribe.
So it's Christ. You got lots of witnesses. It's Christ. Who's Cyrus?
Type of Christ.
Christ.
Christ. Right? Who's the next king?
Canvas.
Cam- Cambyses. So who's Cambyses?
Ammon.
Ammon.
And he said his name means handsome.
Handsome?
Jeremy has
Brother
more
Paul.
meanings.
Was Cyrus the one that Michael went for 21 days?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yep. So now Paul's pointing out that right here, when he comes down to Cyrus at one level, and this would be a fractal of this history, that it's this empowerment. But this is a big history. That would be in this history of Cyrus.
Yeah. Isolating Cyrus's history, you
Yeah.
can see the whole reform.
Yep. Where else would Cyrus occur in these histories? What Paul just said is if you were going to take a fractal of Cyrus's history, there comes a point in time in Daniel 10 where Michael comes down and empowers the first angel's message. This is Cyrus and Michael after Gabriel gives up. But what was I saying? So where else is Cyrus in these histories?
Where else is-
What does Cyrus do? Who is he?
He's the one who.
He's gonna
lays
do
the
what?
foundation.
First.
He's going to lay the foundation. So he's in here. What else is he going to do?
We might give the first decree,
Yeah,
so
it's a
You get first decree. What's he gonna do to Belshazzar?
He's gonna take him down.
How?
Comes to the two-leaved gates.
Comes through the gates that no man can open. Where's that?
1844.
1844. Cyrus is typifying Christ's change of dispensation from the holy to the most holy. So Cyrus is all the way through it. So you can no doubt do a fractal on Cyrus from 1798 to 1844,
Just by his activities.
just by the way he's marked in the
You
scriptures.
could do a couple, yeah. You could do a couple different after the fall of Babylon or before the fall of Babylon. You can mark it during.
Who's this?
False Smyrna.
False Smyrtus. That's what the
What's his name mean, Jeremy?
It's called false Smyrtus because
he's an imposter.
But what's his real
he's
name?
not the actual imposter. He was killed by one of his brothers, and there was two people that came up after him saying that they were the son of
Yeah.
the actual king.
Smyrtus
But
was the real Smyrtus was killed, and then this guy replaced him, usurped him.
the
Artaxerxes.
real one that was killed was named Bardia, and his name means exalted and lofty.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're having more Persian kings than we want to have. But which one does Sister White mark?
She marks
And
false
false
Smyrtus.
Smyrtus.
This guy is impersonating the Smyrtus who was supposed to after the other guy died.
No, Bardia is the real one that got killed.
Yeah, he's the real one who got killed, but there's somebody named Smyrtus that was still alive, isn't there? And he got taken out of. Anyways, false Smyrtus.
Bardia is the one that gets called false Smyrtus because he was killed and people came in for him. Two people.
Oh, that's not the same thing I read.
Okay, you guys need to straighten this out. So who's the next guy? Darius. Where's he?
Second. Read the second.
There's a second angel.
So that's here.
Under Jim. Would be
And
under 9/11.
pardon me.
That would be under 9/11.
Oh yeah, I guess the second can arrive at 9/11 at one level, right? I was putting him down at 419. And he's followed by who?
Xerxes the Great.
Xerxes the Great. Followed by who?
Artabanus.
Artabanus. Followed by who?
Artaxerxes.
This is the third. This is the second. And this is the first. So, this is a little bit different, huh?
Yeah, that's a little bit different.
So, what is Esther?
Sunday law. Priests and Levites.
No, I don't mean it that way.
I've tried to parallel all the seven thunders like this, and what the conclusion I came to is that each of these is showing you a different truth about that history and may not necessarily correspond in the same manner, because it's expounding the truth. I mean, if they all lined up exactly one way, then they may not all may not bring out different aspects.
But surely
this.
Xerxes the Great or Artabanus is going to, one of those has to line up with the Midnight Cry. It's right in that period. Surely one of those is the Midnight Cry.
I think it'd be in the
It would be Xerxes the Great, so Esther's husband.
yeah.
Am I wrong?
Well,
You're gonna guess.
Artabanus' name means
I was gonna say
truth
Xerxes.
and light. Arta is truth and Banus is light.
Where do you get this stuff from?
I
Do you know all these names?
She does.
She knows all.
I just did a bunch of searches and
Okay, what's Cyrus mean?
it's one who bestows care.
One who bestows care. Cambyses.
His name is kind of, most people didn't know, but it's saying a geographical location, but one site said that his name was Handsome. But most people were saying it was unknown.
Handsome architect. Okay, what's this?
He was the one that was
What's his name mean?
Bardia means exalted or lofty. He was the one that was originally killed. There was two peoples like Gamut and Ren something or whatever that took his place. And I have those names, but I don't have them with me.
Darius means.
Rich and wealthy.
In Xerxes? Ahasuerus?
Ruler or king of the heroes.
And Artabanus again?
It's divided by two. Art means light and Banus means, truth and light.
Okay, so truth and light would fit with the swelling of the midnight cry that leads to Artaxerxes.
Which is righteous ruler.
Okay, that makes sense. And what's he again now? Xerxes the Great?
King or ruler of the heroes.
King or ruler of the heroes.
The hero is Esther.
Paul.
Yeah.
Up there in the Millerite history, isn't there supposed to be 4 lines paralleling the kings down below? Wasn't there something else in 1844?
Midnight Cry.
Yeah, right there. The arrival of the second angel's message.
The Midnight Cry is probably.
But wasn't there something in spring and then in the midnight cry?
The midnight cry. 8:15.
Now it'll line up better.
But what is that lineup? Now you have 7. 36, but what is that lineup?
Yeah, but it, like Michael says, it doesn't always line up perfectly because you have to combine some. And these 2 kings are here, and there's 3 kings here. But yeah, that's it's good we put that in there. Are we saying these are the 7 events of the Millerite history?
No, what I was just thinking is we may not, I don't know. Because all the fractals and the combining and everything, it makes it difficult to identify specifically what the 7 events are.
Those, for as far as humanly, those seem like valid events.
Well, then where's
Yeah.
the has and
There was,
can being joined up at the top? You should have to put that in if you got it on the other one.
this is from the Pioneer CD-ROM. This is Haskell. Cambyses was slain while in Egypt, and before the report was circulated throughout the Medo-Persian Empire, an impostor took the throne which belonged to Smerdis, the son of Cambyses, the impostor known in history as Pseudo-Smerdis, the false Smerdis. So
I didn't understand that.
what I'm saying, what that says is Smerdis was a guy. Cambyses' son, or the heir somehow, was Smerdis, and there was an impostor who took the throne before the circulated report got around that Cambyses had died.
False. Yeah,
Bardus.
that's the guy's name.
No, he.
Bardia.
Bardia. What's his name?
Maybe I'm mixing it up. But Bardia is. I thought Bardia was who Smerdis was.
The true heir
Yeah, the true heir.
that never makes it to the throne
And he was killed.
because false Smyrna takes it over.
Yeah, and
So-
2 people came up.
So
and-
here's the thing too, is that since Sister White identifies him as the false Smerdis, then you would take the word Smerdis, understand the definition, and take the reverse of that.
And Smyrna is?
I can't remember
Paul.
Look it up.
because
That's a
it
lot
was
of
late at
names.
night.
Okay.
Doesn't it mean persecuting or something?
Doesn't it mean what?
Persecuting?
Persecuting?
Oh,
She's got it.
she's talking about
No.
Sardis, right? Are you talking about Sardis?
No.
Oh,
Smyrna.
Oh,
I
Smyrna?
think
Okay.
Smyrna is persecution.
She's thinking about the church.
The church is
Go to
Smyrna.
dictionary.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So, do we see judgment in here?
Yes.
Yes.
What?
10:22.
Not the specific. What is this?
It's the history of the first angel.
It's the opening of the judgment.
opening of the judgment.
Okay.
What's this?
The close.
The close of judgment. What's this?
The judgment of the Jews.
Judgment at the cross.
And the judgment.
Judgment of the Jews. What's this?
Judgment of ancient Israel.
Judgment of the southern kingdom. What's this?
The judgment of Jews.
Is there a judgment in here? Okay, so now we're going to isolate the history of Xerxes.
No.
But we're understanding. What are you guys doing?
No.
What do we got going?
There was a dog outside, that's it.
Let's just, for the sake of thinking it through, let's do Cyrus first.
What are we looking at?
We're trying to figure out what we know about the fractal of Cyrus that would be right here. What do we know about the fractal of Cyrus? Where can we place Cyrus in the history of the Seven Thunders, as illustrating the Seven Thunders? We already talked about it.
Yeah, the first place would be when he comes through the two-leaf gates.
And that would be
That would be the fall of
the
Babylon.
time of the end, fall of Babylon.
Time of the end.
And then what's he do?
He, well, 2 years go by and then it's the time of the end. That's what I was saying. Two different histories. So I wouldn't mark him going through the two-leaf gates at the time of the end.
Well, what would you do then?
The time of the end would be when the first decree goes into effect. When the decree arrives, he becomes king right there at the time of the end. And then in that year,
So maybe you shouldn't have the two-leaf,
well, that's what I was
Gates
saying.
there.
It's
because then we're starting these at the time of the end.
Oh, okay, yeah. In that sense, okay. I thought you were well, because the two-leaf gates would be marked at the fall of Babylon. When Babylon is fallen, so it'd be a fractal later down in the history.
So what else do we know about Tyrus that we already mentioned in Daniel chapter 10?
Christ came and worked with him
Yeah.
21 days.
Okay, so that's this.
Yeah.
That's the divine symbol coming down. And then we see him illustrating October 22nd, 1844. His beginning is illustrating the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do we call that? Door closed. Okay, so there's probably more in Cyrus. Because we've never looked at this before like this, have we?
No.
So, but now we're going to do Xerxes.
How does he illustrate 1844?
That's what I was saying about the two fractals. This part of the history, time of the end, and his struggle, or the struggle of Michael and Satan, that represents the arrival and empowerment of the first angel. But before that happens, this is a fractal, and we're putting it where it appropriately would go. Before that happens, when he brings down Babylon, that's representing the door closing on Belshazzar.
Sister Brittany, Revelation 3, verses 7. Go, you just read it all, 7 through 13. We don't know what that is.
Okay,
It's
okay.
when the divine symbol comes out. It could be Christ's baptism, it can be 9/11, 1840.
And to the angel of the church in Philadelphia write, These things saith he that is holy, he that is true, he that hath the King of David, he that openeth and no man shutteth, and shutteth and no man openeth.
That's good. No, go read the next verse. Come on.
I know thy works, behold, I have set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it, for thou hast a little strength, and hast kept my word, and hast not denied my name.
Okay, when's that? What is that?
October 22nd, 1844.
What happened on October 22nd, 1844?
The door was shut.
The door was open.
Okay, who was the door shut upon?
The
Promises.
So, pardon me? Okay, so who's being passed by? So there's a kingdom being passed by and a new kingdom set up. What's the new kingdom?
Millerites.
Millerites. There's a dispensational change. So in Daniel chapter 5, what happens?
Daniel chapter 5.
Everyone knows Daniel chapter 5.
They have none.
The handwriting on the wall. What's the handwriting on the wall?
2520.
Babylon's being passed.
What's the handwriting on the wall?
Judgment.
The 2520, the judgment.
What's the handwriting on the wall?
Oh.
It's the chart, right? Is the chart a symbol of the fall of the Protestants?
Yeah, they rejected
tested
it.
on that.
That's what they're tested on, is that message that's on that chart. So what's the handwriting on the wall? Many, many tekel upharsin. That's Daniel chapter 5, right? Yes?
Yes.
So it marks the end of Protestantism, the end of a kingdom. The end of Babylon. What happens at the end of Belshazzar's kingdom?
Cyrus.
Cyrus. How does Cyrus get there to kill him?
He goes through the
His
leaf gates
gates
that no
open.
man can open or close.
He diverts the water.
He has an open door.
Diverts the water, goes through the door that no man can open, opens the door that no man can shut. So Cyrus is typifying October 22nd, 1844. And the water dried up.
From diverting the water from
It
him.
doesn't say Cyrus in Daniel, it says Darius.
It doesn't say Cyrus in the book, in Daniel chapter 5, it says Darius. Okay,
Because
so,
Cyrus
Darius.
He was the
Darius is
king.
king.
Cyrus
Cyrus
was
is
the king, Darius was the
general.
general.
Yeah.
yes, and
But
what,
we're
who
marking
does that,
Cyrus.
yeah, but who does the historians confirm was, and Sister White confirm actually did that?
Cyrus.
Cyrus.
But the Bible mentions Darius, so there must be a truth there connected to that. It's saying Darius.
When Christ moved from the holy to the most holy place, who moved with him?
50 people.
It's
Not
Yeah.
moved with him, bad
Isn't it
way
marked
to
into
say it.
one
You
power?
said something about the chart marked, well, that was 1843.
Yep,
So that would go first and then 1844, wouldn't it?
right. The handwriting on the wall came before Belshazzar was slain.
And that
The
would be-
handwriting on the wall was
Would
the
be
announcement that
1840.
your judgment is over. Your time, your probationary time is over.
Okay.
And what's many, many tekel upharsin represent?
You've been found in the balances. You've been weighed in the balances and found wanting.
That, okay, what else?
It's 20.
2520. So what's getting accomplished on October 22nd, 1844?
The beginning of the judgment.
The scattering.
The
Two
there's two
questions.
time prophecies that come together. The 2300 and,
2520.
okay, I said it wrong before, but I've never thought about this before, but when Christ is moving from the holy to the most holy on October 22nd, 1844, he's the general, who's his king?
Christ.
No, Christ is the general,
God?
who's the king?
God, the Father.
So who's Darius or Darius in relation to Cyrus?
He'd be the father.
Father. He's the one that's directing the
He
work there.
is.
But it's all there.
Wait, who is the general? Darius.
Cyrus. Darius was the king,
Oh, yeah.
and he used Cyrus to bring down Belshazzar by diverting the water. What does that mean?
The waters.
Who was the waters going to? Who were they supporting? Who? The Babylonians. Who was the water supporting?
The Protestants.
The Protestants. Okay. When did their waters dry up?
First day of the first.
419.
April 19th, 1844. Did Cyrus dry up the water before he went under the great gate?
Yep.
Yeah, he began to
It's all there. I never thought about it like this before, but it's all there. What are we doing? Okay,
Revelation 3.
so Xerxes. No, we're answering Brittany's question. I thought she already knew that, Brittany's. We're going to deal with the decrees in Esther. We got a few days, so we don't have to get anxious. What's the first decree?
Divorce.
Is it? That's what we're defining as the first decree, is divorce. Is there not a decree before that that isn't called a decree?
Yeah, the request for Queen Basta to read.
The calling.
Yeah.
It would be a king's decree, it would be a command from the king.
Okay. What?
So that's different. So is that the first decree now?
It's not called a decree. It's not called a decree, but if the king calls, is it a decree?
It's a command.
I want to go.
Okay.
It's not a decree.
It's a command.
It's not like a legal document written
No,
thing,
you
but
can't,
it's
you
a
can't say
it's
it's
a
a
command
decree
from
when
the
it's
king.
not.
it had the consequences of law, because when she refuses to come,
Judgment.
she's
Judgment.
divorced.
Yep.
Yeah, and just
Judgment.
like the verse that says many are called and few are chosen, it's a difference between called and and a decree. You wouldn't want to.
But his men elevated the importance of it.
To a decree?
Because it seemed like he wasn't as upset about it as they made it into an issue.
Okay, so all decrees are commandments, but maybe not all commandments are decrees. And so this is a commandment that, yeah, I don't know.
Said the king's anger burned within him, so I think he was pretty mad.
Upset.
Well, he was pretty drunk.
Yeah.
Oh, so burning of it, yeah, that could be.
Why is this threatening? That we're saying the call is a decree. What does that do?
Well, that kind of makes 7 decrees then.
Oh. 7 decrees
It's not
in
that
the
it's
history of the
threatening.
7 thunders
It's
is a
not
problem.
threatening, but we just didn't present it that way.
The implications
prior.
are you'd have to show 2 other decrees in our time then.
Purim has multiple degrees in it, though.
Well, I'm not worried about adding things up now. I'm going to go through it, but I don't want to pass by. There was a call here. We don't. This is a prophetic. This is Revelation 17:4. If you're not going to 17:14, if you're not going to acknowledge that, you're missing what her rebellion's all about.
She refuses to call.
She refuses the call. Then what's the first decree? And this is called a decree, right? So there is a distinction made in the scriptures between the call and the decree. What's the first decree?
The divorce.
The divorce. Second decree.
Call the virgins.
Call it
The virgin, gathering of the virgins.
Gathering of the
It's a,
Why are you laying them like that? Why can't we just lay them linear and then come back and do them like that?
What's linear?
Like this
Like
way?
you have
Why do you
7
have to do
waymarks.
them
You
like
have 7
this?
waymarks.
So we can see the waymarks before we decide how to combine them.
So we can see the waymarks.
She's saying chronologically
I like to see
in
mine
order
first
to
on
see.
the top, where they are, and then look at them logically and lay them out. Because Ezra only had 3 in there, so you can't put the call there.
Because Ezra only had 3 there.
3 in his hand.
What kind of argument is that?
That's
What's
what
the
we've
third
been
decree?
arguing.
What's the third decree?
The death decree, the death
Haman's,
decree.
Haman's.
Haman's death decree for the
Yeah.
Jews.
Haman's decree.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that be the 4th?
But that goes, that's
It's
the
not
death
called a
decree, that goes at the end.
Yeah, it goes in, no.
Okay, how do we understand that?
It goes
There's
into
three-
effect.
There's 3 sections to
It
it.
starts.
It was actually given before it ever went into effect by almost a year. So it would, where it's marked as being
So will-
expressed, it has to go into effect.
So will our death decree go into be
Effect
first?
before it's
But then
implemented.
people will,
That's what we're saying, is that it's
before it goes
already
into
in the
effect,
works
come-
right now.
They were ready to do
Just like the Patriot Act.
decree.
Yeah.
And then,
They were ready to persecute
So-
us in 9/11.
Let's address Bronwyn's issue here. We're saying that Ezra 7:9, and we know this, we're not disputing this, that you can show that Ezra possesses the characteristics of all 3 decrees when he comes out of Babylon. Right?
Oh,
Why?
he has
first day of the
First day of the first month.
the divorce from the strange wives. There's a gathering process going on.
Okay, they're separated from the strange wives gathering. Why do this story? What else does it have? First day of the 5th month. What is that?
midnight cry. When he re-
Midnight cry.
returns to
Okay,
Jerusalem.
and he has the decree, the third decree in
It
his.
goes into effect.
So we can see all 3 waymarks combined right there at that waymark, right? Do we see a call in there?
Yep.
He calls.
Yeah, he calls
the
the
guys that
Levites.
didn't come.
He calls.
That's right.
There's a calling in there.
He did call.
So there's a separation between the decrees and the calls.
3-1.
The call is not
There's
a
a
decree, but it
3-1
is a command.
combination.
Those
Yeah,
that didn't come out of
that's
Babylon.
interesting. That is pretty good. I never knew we were labeling first
They're all
day, first night,
commands.
first day,
If we
first
listed
month,
them, if we wanted to say that they're all the same thing, they're
There's
all
actually
commands.
2 callings in there for Ezra.
There's actually 2 callings. Go to Ezra.
Exactly.
What are the 2 callings?
Well, the one that was given to the freedom for all of them to go back, whoever wanted to go back to Israel and rebuild, they were given the freedom by the king to go back. And then Ezra recognizes that there is no Levites. Then he has to go and make a special request for them.
Yeah, but if we're starting on the first day of the first month, that call comes prior. Because they gather together on the first day of the first month to lead. This is the call out.
There's 2 calling of there's 2 gathering of the virgins during Xerxes' time too. There's 2 calling.
2 gatherings of the virgins where?
In
Well,
Xerxes.
and
In
they
Esther.
gather them and then
Yeah.
they, yeah.
Yeah, there's 2 gatherings. And that wasn't too clear yesterday because you didn't have enough time. But we need to address that. We'll address that tomorrow. The one thing that you didn't do well yesterday, and it was only because of time, this isn't criticism, is you didn't identify the fractals. Okay, the time period of Esther's preparation is a year, and you can take it all the way to the Sunday law, or you can take it to the midnight cry as a fractal. And you need to address the 2 conclusions, because there's a gathering of the virgins at the midnight cry, and there's a gathering of the virgins at the Sunday law. So that needs to be laid out in terms of gathering of the virgins. So, where is the other decrees in Esther? Not the verses. We know this. We already know
At
this.
the Sunday law.
Esther's counter.
At the Sunday
Esther has a
law.
counter decree.
Counter, yeah, counter.
What? And that's the 4th. We're calling it the counter decree.
It's
Is that what we're labeling it as?
Yeah. That's how the Bible.
Okay, then the 5th decree. Really? You sure the 5th decree is Purim?
The 5th degree is the request
I'd say the
to have
6th decree
is Purim.
is Purim.
Yeah.
I would say that.
And then the hanging of the 10 sons, that's the 5th decree.
The 5th,
The decree was given to Shushan and they hanged Haman's 10 sons.
the hanging. And this is the death decree. But where does the death decree begin to produce results?
Sunday.
Right here.
Those are what the sealing ones.
When Haman's son?
When Haman is hung.
Haman's hung. Where's the next result?
With 10 sons.
Universal sealing.
So even though there's 6 decrees, we're not really challenging. What's our point of reference? What do we have to agree with? We have to agree with the decrees that are laid out in inspiration about the end of the world.
yeah.
So there's a death decree at the end of the world. When does it come?
The close of, after the close of probation.
And where's the close of probation?
The hanging of
And
Haman's sons.
Daniel 12:1.
Depend on which.
No.
No?
Universal Sunday.
Isn't
The
that the,
Universal Sunday Law,
which is the hanging of the sons right there?
close of probation.
He's marking it right there.
So that's what.
Well, we've already decided that Haman represents the United States, the 10
Okay,
sons
Dave
represent the
died.
United Nations.
Okay, so this is Haman.
So you're saying the close of probation is when the guys die, and then the hanging is separate?
Is there a decree at the Sunday Law?
Can you explain the?
Yes.
Yes.
No, I don't know. Well, I'm working this out artistically as we go. If we have to straighten this out, we're just not in the logic to find it. Is there a decree at the Sunday Law?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. This is back here. This Haman's decree is the death decree.
Yes.
But its first manifestation of death is with Haman's itself. Who dies here?
Haman.
Okay, I'll leave this off so people aren't struggling over that. So who dies in terms of
U.S.,
Revelation 17?
United States.
The sixth kingdom
Right.
dies. Who begins?
Seven.
The seventh, which are the 10 kings.
Where does the seventh die?
Before they're hung.
Before they're
Before they're
hung.
hung.
Yeah.
So the seventh die there,
The eighth
and the eighth that is of the seven,
reigns for 1 hour.
with who?
The beast.
With these seven. So they're not really dead, are
So
they?
they're not really dead, but
Then
they're
the
not
sense
in
that they're
control.
conquered.
What about these seven? The seventh kingdom. Is the sixth kingdom really dead?
No.
In the sense,
The beast
in,
is
part of-
out
it's
of
part
in
of
the
the
sense
cult.
that it's not in control.
We've learned that 1/3 of them is.
Yeah. What? 1/3 is dead here. Why?
Because they don't exist as a sovereign nation anymore.
Yeah, they're passed by as a sovereign nation. Who?
Sovereignty.
The false prophet becomes part of the dragon.
Okay.
Okay, so here, what is this?
Death.
The death of the seventh kingdom.
10-7.
It's the death of the sons.
Yes.
The 10.
Yeah.
So they're going to rule for 1 hour together. Where's the 1 hour end?
The close of probation.
When they have,
And
So
this
that's
would
1
be
month,
here.
1 hour.
Okay.
And at the close of probation, what do you have?
The hanging of Haman's.
No, what do you have? We're talking about decrees here.
The last 7 plagues.
Yeah, you have the universal Sunday law.
Yeah.
Universal.
So what other decree does inspiration tell us about?
A death decree.
That would be here. Right?
Where's here?
In this
Straight
history.
in there.
Oh,
No, it's
yeah.
the hanging of the 10 sons.
Yeah.
Different
After,
than
it's
death.
after the close.
The hanging of the 10 sons is the close of probation.
Yep.
You're just saying after. You're
Yeah, it's in
This period.
just after. Yeah.
During the time of the 7 last plagues.
during the time of the 7 last plagues.
Is that correct?
Yes.
What are you writing there?
Yeah,
Death decree.
Oh,
I like that better because Purim is really a celebration. I don't like labeling it as a death decree. We were talking about that yesterday.
No, it's not. I wondered why you were doing that. Go to Esther. I mean, if you understand that Haman's is the death decree, but there's another decree. The death decree is a different decree.
There's like 2 decrees to hang his sons. There's
2
one-
decrees to hang his son?
Yeah, there's 1 in 13 and 14 of
Uh,
Esther 9.
Esther 9, let's see this. Two decrees to hang his son. Read it to us. Chapter 9, verses 13 and 14.
And said Esther, if it please the king, let it be granted to the Jews which are in Shushan to do tomorrow, also according unto this day's decree, and that Haman's 10 sons be hanged upon the gallows. And the king commanded it so to be done, and the decree was given at Shushan, and they hanged Haman's 10 sons. And then it's confusing because in 25, it says, but when Esther came before the king, he commanded by letters that his wicked device, which he devised against the Jews, should return upon his own head, and that he and his sons should be hanged on the gallows.
This is just giving.
It's just a
That's the-
repeat.
It's
Retelling
giving
the story.
the
just a
how
It's just a
the
repeat.
Haman's decree manifested itself.
Right.
It's just
Oh.
saying, if you were going to express that whole history, you just say, and the king hung.
Because
sons.
this is the death
It
of
does have
Haman
law.
and his sons.
Yeah, it's just that history's their death.
In verse 12?
In verse 12, same chapter.
Yeah, in 9 verse 12. At the end of it, it says, he asks, and now what is thy petition? And it should, I'm just saying that he's asking for more, but if she has any more requests. And the king said unto Esther the queen, the Jews have slain and destroyed 500 men in Shushan the palace, and the 10 sons of Haman, what have they done in the rest of the king's provinces? Question mark. Now what is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request further? So is he saying, what is your further request after you give your first request? Is there a second request?
Yeah,
The
that's
further,
when she requested that
and
they
it shall be done. So he's leaving it open for you. What else would you like? Whether it's a decree.
It's like connected to the countermand.
And so, what is the other?
That's when she requested his sons be hanged.
Yes. So, what are how many decrees does, not counting Purim, because she's involved with the Purim decree. How many decrees does Esther make?
2.
2. Where's the first one she makes?
Right.
To
4.
protect themselves,
Four.
yeah.
The counter. Where's the next
What
one that she
verse?
made?
What verse?
To hang him.
To hang.
What verse? What do you want to know?
For the
sister?
first.
The
decree?
first, her first is chapter 8, verse 8 through 13, I guess. About them defending themselves. The counter decree, okay? And now the 5th one is for them to hang him, right? Or her second one. This is Esther's second decree.
We're a little bit confused though, I think.
Are we?
Yeah, because Haman, it's saying in verse 8, right, also sealing it, and right above it, in 8 verse 7, it says, Behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him have they hanged upon the gallows. So this is like we put him hanging on the gallows before that, and this is the first time he's mentioning he's allowed to be hung on the gallows, right? So it's like Haman, the 10 sons,
Haman's hung here.
Yeah, he's.
so based on what decree?
On this decree. The
That's
story
the
of this is
decree.
that his own decree was turned against him.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay,
this is
I
his
didn't
decree.
understand that.
And when the king finds out that he's making a conspiracy against his wife and her people, then he has him hanged.
So that's not really a decree for him, it's hanging.
No.
It's just what happened.
Yeah, it's the result of his decree.
From what I understood from reading the Bible is that when the king Ahasuerus walks in and he sees Haman over Esther begging for his life, but it looks like she's trying to make, I don't know.
It's on her bed. It's
Yeah.
a corrupt relationship that's being symbolized.
Yeah, so basically on that spot right there, the king says that he's even daring to now go to my queen. It almost seems like that was an instant call for him to, for him to be dead.
And what brings his death? What's the symbol of his death then, as you
His
described it?
The 50 cubits high.
The unlawful
Oh,
relationship
yes.
of the image of the beast in this history.
Yeah.
He's built the gallows.
Oh, so.
The definition of it is this unlawful relationship, and the United States suffers the consequences for being the first one that sets up the image of the beast and passed the Sunday law. So
this
Haman's dead.
So that's marking the midnight cry before the sunrise.
It's telling us what the issues of the midnight cry are. It's the raising up of the image of the beast. It's the unlawful relationship. And God, King Ahasuerus, says the cup of the United States is full. He dies. And then he asks Esther, or she asks him, what else do you want to do? And she says, well, let them defend themselves, because Haman's decree can't be changed. The Sunday law crisis is now underway, no reversing it. So this is the 4th decree, unless you're counting the calling. And it's the counter decree. No.
Just look at this. Another thing that I find interesting is after the decree that Haman had, and then when Queen Esther said that to defend themselves, it says that all the rulers of the provinces, lieutenants and deputies and officers that can help the Jews, they weren't going along with Haman. So
Why?
Because the king
it
said.
says that
Would you?
because out of fear
Yeah, the fear of
Mordecai.
Mordecai.
Because Mordecai was lifted up.
So there's people changing allegiance in this history onward because of the fear of Mordecai. What's that? That's the 11th hour workers coming and standing with God's people.
Another point I'd like to bring out, and I don't know if there's any significance of it, but Esther on its own, she has 5 requests. She requests first for the king to come to the first feast of the wine, then the second request for the feast of the wine, then the 3 requests that takes place afterwards. I don't know if there's any significance of that.
So when we get down to here, we need to be clear about this. I don't know if there is either. Okay, so the 10 kings die. The 8th kingdom is now ruling the world for 1 hour. Tricky subject here, because the ruling of the world begins right here at the Sunday law for the 1 hour until human probation closes. This is the 1 hour workers' history. This is why the princes and all are coming to stand with Esther and Mordecai, because of fear of the Jews. So then you get to the close of probation, which we know in inspiration is a death decree. And or it's when Michael stands up, the universal Sunday law. We know that's a decree, right? And then we have the death decree, which is in the 7 last plagues. What is the gallows? They die here, but what's the gallows?
It was the same thing. It's universal.
What is the gallows in the scriptures?
A curse.
It's the curse.
Oh, yeah.
What is the curse?
Be hanging on the tree,
Cross.
Okay, but what is the curse?
2520.
The 2520, the cross. So is the 2520 marked at the Sunday law in the United States?
Yes.
Why?
It's a type
The
of-
gallows are there, isn't there?
Not forget the gallows. I'm talking about a second witness.
Oh,
October
okay.
22nd.
Pardon me?
October 22nd.
October. How's that the curse?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were.
It's the end of the 25.
It's the end of the 2520. Okay, so you got an end of the 2520 here. So is a curse marked here when human probation closes? Is the 2520 marked? How? Why? Why is the 2520 marked when Michael
The
stands up?
curse is
It's the final.
executed.
It's the scattering. It's the final.
It's the scattering, it's the final.
It's the final scattering of the people.
What's the scattering?
The curse is.
The 7 thunder.
It's the 7 times.
Oh, the 7.
And what takes place here? That is the curse, the 7 last plagues.
Yeah.
So you got the curse marked here and here with the 2520s.
Also the 7,000th year, you know, on a big scale. You're about to start that 1,000 years, which is the 7,000th year.
That would be gathering.
Did you raise your hand?
Gathering.
Could
You have to go fast because you only got
It's fast.
10 seconds.
Could you have, like you have 2 temple cleansings for the good, could you have 2 cleansings of the bad with those hangings?
No.
There's always a counterfeit for everything.
No. This is a progressive illustration of the day of the Lord. Okay, and you have a distinction of 2 in Adventism, but the 11th hour workers are 1. There's really only 1 in Adventism too. It's the parable of the 10 virgins. But I've never seen 2. Anyone seen 2 temple cleansings in the 11th hour workers?
Not yet.
Not yet. I don't think there is. So we'll continue on. So somehow you have to connect the 7 thunders with Esther to make sense of it, I think.
Father in heaven, we just want to thank you so much for bringing us here together. Thank you for guiding Jackie and I here safely. We thank you that no harm came to the car with the flat tire. We thank you for all the light, Lord, that you're bringing to our minds, that we may be able to understand correctly what is to happen in the near future. And Lord, we just want to thank you for allowing us to be alive at a time like this. We ask that you continue to bestow upon us your sweet Holy Spirit and your grace, that you help us, Lord, each one to grow into your likeness, that we may be a light to the world, that we are truly following and walking with Christ. Please be with each one of us today. Please grant us peace and protection, and please be with our loved ones. And continue, Lord, to allow this message to swell louder and louder, Lord, that all your people may be gathered that are truly wanting to follow you all the way to the end. We thank you and we praise you and we ask all these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.